Good morning, team. Welcome to today's math lesson, chapter 8.4. This one is all about fractions of the whole, okay? So we're going to be talking about this today, fractions of a whole, all right? Let's take out our whiteboard paper, your marker and eraser, your math packet, and your writing journal. You will need all of those materials, and if you don't have them now, go ahead and grab them. All right, boys and girls, I forgot I needed a writing instrument too, so I've got my pen here. You can use a pen or a pencil. Let's start off with just what is a fraction. So I'm going to open up my writing journal to the next blank page. Actually, boys and girls, will you find the next blank page that has the picture here? You'll need that because right here in this empty box, we are going to write a fraction. And I think I'm going to go with 1/3. Okay. This is called a fraction, and we're just going to write the word fraction here. Right? So when I start saying fraction, this is what I mean. It's two numbers with a line splitting it right down the middle. Now, the line in the middle is the fraction symbol, right? It's telling us how many parts of the whole. The number down here, we call this the denominator. So please write that down in your notebook. And remember, pause where you need to. Now the denominator tells us how many parts, in the whole, okay? How many parts there are that make up the whole thing. So in this case, there are 3 parts. On this side here, I'm going to draw a circle that is divided into 3 parts. Now you can choose to do a rectangle or a square, any shape that you want, just as long as you cut it into equal parts. 3 to be exact, because our denominator says that there are 3 equal parts. 1, 2, 3. And the 1 up here, we call this the numerator. So let's write that down. I'm going to underline my word. Now the numerator is a special number in the fraction as well because it tells us how many parts are we looking at, how many parts are considered, how many parts are colored, how many parts are shaded. So while all of them look like one thing, right, they're not all shaded, we're going to shade in one part of the whole because our fraction tells us to. So the numerator is how many parts are considered. When I'm talking about considered, I mean which ones are we looking at, okay? How many parts are considered is what we're looking at. So of the 3 pieces, we're only looking at 1. We're only considering 1. And that is how we read the fraction. Okay? So as long as you know the denominator, if it says 4 parts, if it says 4 here, you're going to divide your shape up into 4 equal parts. If the denominator says 5, you're going to divide into 5 equal parts. If the denominator says 8, you're going to divide it into 8 equal parts, right? Now the numerator tells us how many parts are considered. Well, for today's lesson, which is all about the parts of the fraction, we're going to be looking at just more than 1. Yesterday, we were only looking at the unit fraction. We were only looking at 1 part of the whole that was considered. Today, we'll be looking at more than just 1 part. and I'll show you just what I mean. But for now, if you need to pause the video so you can catch up on this, go ahead and do so. All right, boys and girls, you can put away your writing journal for now and your writing utensils, but keep out your marker and eraser so that we can practice on our whiteboard. So, today I said we're looking at parts of the whole, right? I'm going to go back to my 1/3 circle. Now remember, to write this fraction, we first start with our denominator and count out how many parts. Remember, denominator means the one below. Okay? So 1, 2, 3 parts. I'm going to write 3 here. Now, for this particular lesson, we're not looking at just one part that is shaded. So go ahead and shade in your one part. We are looking at more than one part that is being shaded. What were to happen if I were to shade 2 parts? What would my numerator look like? What would the number at the top look like? Well, I know that yesterday when I shaded in 1, it was 1/3, right? But I have 2 parts that are shaded now, or 2 parts of my 3 that are considered. So instead of writing a 1, I write a 2 because there are 2 parts that are shaded or 2 parts that are considered. I know, sounds easy, right? So let's try it one more time. Let's do this time a rectangle. So keep your fraction line there. Remember, we need to write its numerator and denominator. So let's draw our rectangle and let's cut this into 4 equal parts. Remember, denominator, the one below, tells us how many parts of the whole. So how many do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's write 4 on our whiteboard. And this time I'm going to color in, and I want you to do the same. Let's shade 1, 2, 3. 3 parts are being considered, and that is going to give us the numerator. So how many parts did I shade? 3. That means I write the number 3 in the numerator. This fraction shows 3/4 of the rectangle that are considered. All right, let's keep going at this. Ready? Let me keep my fraction line. I'm going to go with a bigger rectangle now. Let's do a bigger rectangle. And this time, I'm going to divide it into 8ths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Which means the denominator, which is the number below, I know I'm going to say that over and over again, guys, right? The number below tells me how many parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It makes 8 equal parts. 8 equal parts make up the whole. Now this time, boys and girls, I'm going to give you the numerator. Remember that the numerator tells us how many parts of the whole are considered. So the numerator, there's only going to be 2. So this fraction reads as 2/8. And in order to show that, how many of these parts will I have to color if only 2/8 of them are considered? I know, 2, right? So easy. There we go. That's it. 2 of the 8 are considered 2/8. All right? Let's try one more, and then I will give you a practice one. I erased the whole thing. All right, here we go. Ready? Let's take my Oh, let's do, oh, no. I'm going to do a circle, and I'm going to split it up into 6 equal parts. Do that on your board. The denominator is 6, right? How many parts of the whole? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 parts make up the whole circle. And for this one, I am going to do 5, which means how many do I have to color? Go ahead and do it on your board. And I hope, boys and girls, that you've colored in 5 pieces, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. These are the parts of the whole that are considered. 5/6 of the whole is considered. That is how we read this fraction. Very nice. Here's your practice one. Try this on your own. Ready? I'm going to give you 2. Pause the video when I'm done and work on it on your own. Let's see how you do on unit fractions of a whole, or fractions of a whole. So I'm going to do a square, and I'm going to split it into thirds, and then I'll do a circle split into fourths. Ready? Show me 2/3 of this square that are shaded. So how many parts of the square will I shade? And for this one, write the fraction for the picture I'm going to show you. Remember to start with the denominator first. How many parts? Count up how many parts altogether, and then write in the numerator how many are shaded. Pause the video to complete the shading and the fraction for both. Welcome back, boys and girls. Let's see how you did. Ready? To show 2/3, I am going to shade just 2, right? This is how many parts are being considered. Only 2 of them. Now for this one over here, I know that there are 1, 2, 3, 4 parts, so that goes in my denominator. And how many are being considered here? Or how many are being shaded? 1, 2, and 3. There it is, boys and girls. So easy. Well done and great job. Let's take a look at today's homework, lesson 8.4. Now, this part is pretty easy. It just says here in numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4, each part is blank, blank, blank 6 or blank 8ths, blank 3rds, and then you write the fraction. So you can see here in the example, each part is 1/6. Remember, we talked about the unit fraction yesterday. So each part is just 1/6. So that is 1/6, that is 1/6, that is 1/6, that is 1/6, and that is 1/6, right? So you write 1/6 here. And then in the second line right here, you write how many parts are shaded. So they wrote 3 because only 1, 2, 3 parts are shaded. So we see the fraction written out in words, 3/6, and then they wrote the fraction using numbers, 3/6. So I'm just going to do the second one very quickly. Each part is, well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to write 1/8. How many are shaded? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I write the word 5/8, and then I write the fraction. Please continue on the front and also do the back.